Hi, and welcome to this episode of Office Hours with Tally Workspace. I'm your host, Laura Beals, and this episode we'll be speaking to Sarah Skelton, the MD and founder of Flourish. Hi, Sarah. Thanks so much for joining us today. So you are the founder of Flourish.
Yep.
It would be great if you could just explain a little bit about what Flourish does.
Yeah, of course. So Flourish essentially helps organisations to attract, retain and grow high-performing sales teams. We do it in two ways. One is matching high-potential early career candidates with those organisations. So we put no emphasis whatsoever on background, academics or experience. We just focus on potential. The second is actually looking more at the performance of existing sales or leadership teams and how we can work with a business to increase performance, increase efficiencies, increase productivity to drive revenue and profit. So everything around either attraction, retention or growth of go-to-market teams we support with.
Amazing. I guess to begin, it would be really great to understand a little bit about your journey and how you got started.
Sure. So Flourish is actually only a year old. I joined the board of Apprentify last year. I've spent my whole career helping businesses hire or train salespeople. So my passion is basically business to sales, women in sales, and helping people early in their career get into sales. So yeah, it's been born out of many years of experience, I would say.
Nice. And you did drama before that. So if we go right back to the beginning. You're fresh out of drama school?
So not quite, sadly. I wasn't that good. But I grew up in Lincoln, so very sort of sleepy, I don't know if you know Lincoln, quite sleepy town.
Nice.
Had I always say like a nice but normal, nothing extraordinary upbringing, but really, happy family life. And then I went over to Chester to study drama.
Yeah.
Thinking, I don't really know what I was thinking, but I enjoyed it. And left there and then thought I need to get a job. And the one thing I realised I'd been good at is during my degree, I'd been working in retail. And I was that person on Saturdays that if there was an incentive of 50 quid if you sell the most bikinis,
you'd always win.
I was like, the bikinis, take a bikini. You're on the fitting room, you haven't got 3 items, take some bikinis. I was like fixated. And I thought, I think I'm quite good at this.
Were you competitive at school or did that just come out on the
This is
sales
a really
floor?
weird one. I am so extremely competitive, but I've never played sport and I have no siblings.
I'm quite similar, actually.
Are you?
Yeah.
Because all the things I think people assume when you're competitive is you've got that sports background or you've had siblings, and I've had neither. But if you ask my uni mates around, like say if we were playing a game of Trivial Pursuit, I am like deathly serious. I have to win, like no cheating, no messing around. So that competitiveness has definitely been within me, and that's a really great trait, I think, to be in sales.
So you're on the shop floor?
Yeah.
And then you start applying for sales jobs?
Yeah. So first off, I actually applied to the John Lewis and the M&S grad schemes and got rejected.
Okay.
So my 2-1 in drama from Chester College didn't seem to be a fit for what they were looking for.
Yeah.
Their loss, I think. And then I stumbled across a graduate recruitment company that specialised in placing graduates into sales roles. So I thought, this looks quite good. Applied, headed down to London a week later for their assessment day. And turns out I lived in Chester. That company was based in Wilmslow. And they went, do you want to work for us? And I just went, yeah, all right. They stayed there for 23 years.
Wow.
So it was obviously my gut was right at the time.
Yeah. Wow. So 23 years there.
Yeah.
You worked your way up to director.
Yeah.
How did that kind of like career trajectory work for you? And how did you prove yourself in sales?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is that my parents both respectively worked for businesses for 50 and 52 years. And as a kid, I used to go, it got so boring. I will never stay at a company like a long period of time.
Yeah.
So I obviously have that loyalty gene within me. And it did give me the opportunity to progress. So as you said, I went up to director. I then had my daughter in 2013 and the business allowed me to work part-time. So I worked 3 days a week for 10 years. And was their top performer globally.
Wow.
So I feel like I just figured it out. I knew that if I work really hard and smart and I care deeply about my clients and candidates, so I'm always like trying to do the best. I'm very responsive, being realistic with people's expectations, and obviously that competitiveness of just wanting to be number one constantly.
Yeah.
It just sort of aligned and I did okay, really. That I can't explain it. But I just figured it out and then obviously went on to lead other people in the business as well.
And were you in the office during that period? How did that setup work?
Yeah, so I moved to London 20 years ago, can't remember now.
Okay.
So I moved eventually down from Wilmslow into London and headed up 3 different offices and a team. And we were office 5 days a week.
Nice.
And we were office 5 days a week until literally COVID hit.
Yeah.
When obviously no one was in an office. And I wondered if life would ever return to normal. And actually there was a big shift then, because then even after COVID, as you'll know, lots of companies didn't want to meet and we did lots of things over Teams or over Zoom. So it changed the dynamic. But I love being in an office. I loved it then. I love it now. And I think especially for people that are early in career in a sales environment, it's really important to have people around you that are like-minded and doing similar things.
Yeah, I do find when you kind of look at the different departments, sales is one of them.
Yeah.
Where actually being in the office, being able to hear other people's calls and how people deal with clients is more important.
It's the instant feedback as well, because if you're sat with other people, you know, it might be that you say something, the call ends. And even if the person hasn't heard the other end of the call, they can say, oh, why did you say that? Or what about this? And, you know, if you've had a great call, it's nice to celebrate it. And if it's gone badly, you might want to discuss it. So I just think there's a lot to gain, more to gain from being together than being remote, especially at that stage of your journey anyway.
And in terms of sales culture and how you build that up, I feel like that's often a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Ringing a bell and all of that type of thing. What's your kind of view on the way to build a good sales culture within an office?
So I think, look, things have changed in the 25 years I've been in sales. So it's definitely less like boiler room than maybe it was like all of those years ago. But there's an element of salespeople are usually high energy, competitive. They're working to targets. So being able to celebrate success, I think, is really important. Now, a lot of it's probably down to the people you hire.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes a great culture to force a slightly more introverted, quiet salesperson to be ringing a bell or running around the office if that isn't their thing. But I think if you hire people that have that camaraderie, that want to celebrate the wins, cheer each other on, having a team that is in an office where you've got that structure and you can celebrate together is really important. And it lifts everybody. So that for me has always been quite crucial in terms of team building.
And in terms of, you've worked there for 23 years.
Yeah.
What made you make the big jump to start your own company?
I get asked that so many times. It's a combination of things, actually. And I think sometimes, you know, you hear that saying like the stars aligned.
Yeah.
So first up was probably just I realised I'd done 23 years and I was coming to that point in my life where Jasmine, my daughter, had just finished prep school and was moving to secondary school. So I knew I was going to have a bit more free time with longer school days and her being independent. And I think I was thinking, am I going to stay in the same business? Am I literally going to turn into my parents?
Do 50 years.
That coincided with my old founder of the business that I worked for setting up a new company and being quite keen for me to be part of that. So he was sort of talking to me and that was something that was on my mind. And then really transparently, my mum died out of the blue. Like literally I was with her on a Thursday. She was dead on the Saturday. And that sort of, well, it completely threw me into disarray. And I think what I realised, and I had talked to mum about this potential opportunity of moving and she'd been very pro it and had encouraged me. But I think what I realised is what had been holding me back was the comfort zone. I'm a bit of a creature of habit. And I thought, do I, you know, I've almost, what if I'm not as good as I think I am? What if it doesn't work? And then when something really bad's happened, which probably is the worst thing that's going to, you sort of think, well, why not? And so that was the final leap. And so made the move. And the very first day that I joined the board of Apprentify, which is the business I joined before I founded Flourish, was the very first day my daughter started secondary school. So it was like a big thing in our house, like new job, new school. My poor husband's there like, God, what's going on? And it's been the best move I've ever made. Best move.
And why do you think that is? Is it having more control or what do you think?
I think for a start, the business I left is a great organisation, but it wasn't the same as the one I joined. They were fully acquired. So they were part of a global corporate organisation. So being able to get back into doing things that are a bit scrappy and messy and getting in the weeds and being able to make super quick decisions, that's been exciting. But the biggest thing is the growth that I've had in the last year, because I think I'd been in such a comfort zone and I'd been such a big figure in my last business that I'd almost been, if I dare say it, allowed to get away with murder. Like I was a constant top performer and I just did the bits I liked. Whereas in the last year, I've done, I've spoken on panels, I've been abroad, I've been on multiple podcasts.
Yeah.
I do a lot of public speaking, which is something I didn't really like before. I've been on live radio. I have set up a company. Like it's all stuff that I had never, ever experienced. And I think the growth that I've had is the biggest thing that I'm actually quite proud of myself, if that's not a cheesy thing to say.
No, it sounds like it's well deserved. So you join Apprentify.
Yeah.
And then how does that turn into Flourish?
So Apprentify are a group of brands that all focus in the talent attraction, training and development space, predominantly through apprenticeships or government-funded boot camps. What we didn't have within Group was a business that was dedicated to sales.
Yeah.
And that's my background. So I joined the board with the intention of setting up something that would service companies to attract, retain and grow high-performing sales teams. So first objective was like, what are we going to be called? And actually the bit that I thought would be most exciting about setting up a company, I don't know if you found this, like the name, the branding, the logo was the bit I hated the most.
Yeah. Well, everything's taken. It's a nightmare.
It's like you can't find a single website that isn't taken, or you don't like the way it's spelled, or if it is available, it costs like hundreds of thousands of pounds, which is obviously not an option. And then like looking at different colour palettes, and I realised I'm actually not that creative.
Yeah.
So that wasn't my favourite bit. But what I was really clear on is this is what I want the value proposition to be. This is how we'll differentiate ourselves. So once we finally settled on Flourish, we got the domain name and we picked the colour palette. I kid you not, based on my favourite outfit of green trousers and a blue blouse. Then I was like, right, away we go. And I got into the stuff that I really enjoy.
And from the beginning, you're hiring a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that play out?
So I started with just a handful of people, a couple that were already in the Apprentify group that moved over to join me at Flourish, and then a couple of people that I already knew within my network. Because when you're first starting out, you're not going to suddenly be able to hire a ton of people.
Yeah.
And also I wanted to live what we do, which is bringing in early career individuals. I don't care about their background, don't care about their experience, just care about their potential and their enthusiasm and their attitude. So we started like that, started small, and almost needed to just prove the model and prove what we were doing, which quite quickly we did. And so over that sort of 12-month period, which is just concluded, we've gone from about 5 of us to 24. So we're 24 people now in the business.
Well, you've grown quite fast.
Yeah.
In terms of building out that team, I know you've spoken a lot about how you're competitive, hardworking, and all of those kind of traits. How do you go about hiring? And are you looking for those same things in other people?
Yeah, for sure. So the model at Flourish is all about focusing on like skills-based hiring. We telephone screen, video screen, and then we run what we call discovery days, which if you're reasonably early in career with limited or no sales experience, for me, what we do that makes us unique is we don't just assess the candidates for their suitability. We educate them. What is B2B sales?
Yeah.
What does an SDR mean? What's a BDR? Like, what are the traits? And I'm quite realistic about, in fact, the team, if they ever listen to this, will laugh, because the thing I say every week is if sales was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
It's not. So I make it quite clear that it's a really tough career and it isn't for everybody. But through that discovery day process and through different exercises and activities, we essentially look for their confidence, we look for communication. Are they coachable? Are they curious? And their character, what makes them unique? And they're the things that I care about. And I think if you've got that and you've also got the desire, you can go on to be great in sales.
And do you ever find that people drop out when you give those warnings about how tough it's going to be?
Yeah, I've had somebody leave a discovery day and openly said it's not for me. We actually get really good reviews online, which I'm proud of, but some of them come from candidates that we say we don't think you're a good fit. And they actually say, you've been really good at helping me realise this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Because I think you don't go to school and you don't go to uni and study sales. And so you may have had experience in a B2C context. You may have been on the receiving end, but I think in the UK, sales is still not promoted, not seen as a professional career, and has that, I don't know, you tell me, but I think people still think it's like gift of the gab, wheeler dealer, not like the consultative sales model that it can actually be.
Well, I definitely find as a founder, it is the thing that I respect so much more, having had to do it and really understand that consultative process and like the resilience as well.
It's tough, but without a sales team, a business rarely flourishes, right? So getting it right is so critical. And I think it's just very difficult to make those decisions in a short interview unless somebody is joining with a long track record or based on a referral. You want to get underneath their skin. And as I said, to minimise the risk of churn, it's our duty to say to these candidates, this is what you're getting into.
Yeah.
It isn't for everybody, and that's okay.
And in terms of kind of, you take these people that haven't got a background in sales, do this interview process and help upskill them.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to small companies that are starting up a sales team?
So I think you need to think about what your objective is. So what I mean by that is there's different types of sales. If you need somebody to come in and manage a series of accounts or relationships that you've already got, that's probably not necessarily the best role for somebody starting out. Where the candidates can add most value is creating pipeline, new business generation, booking appointments. So if that's what you need, that's the first thing. But then you need to think about, how are we going to manage them? How are we going to train them? What sort of targets are we going to set them? And the important bit is, if they're good, how are we going to retain them? Because there's nothing worse than bringing in somebody fantastic that you lose 12 months later because you haven't thought about career progression.
Yeah.
So all of those things we can support with and guide a business so they can have it really well mapped out before they make that big investment to actually bring somebody on board.
And in terms of, I know a lot of my team often follow you on LinkedIn. Yeah. They're often saying things that you've said. So there's also that side of promotion of the business. How did you kind of, start promoting Flourish? What were your channels and how did you kind of determine them?
I'm smiling because I love LinkedIn. I love it. Before starting Flourish, I posted once in a blue moon and I didn't accept anybody's connections if I didn't know them. I was really like insular with it.
Yeah.
When I knew I was leaving, I thought, right, I need to build up my own personal brand. And then because I'm competitive myself, I'd set myself targets. So this year, was to get to 10,000. And I'm nearly at 14.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I think you've exceeded that.
Yeah. With LinkedIn, I think firstly it is personal brand building. And I say to candidates when they're starting out on their journey, it's like your digital CV. It's staying with you forever. So of course, think about what you're posting because it's there forever. But actually, it's your personal brand and those contacts and connections and people trust you. For me, I read a few books, if I'm honest, about, okay, what works, what engagement works, trying to crack that good old LinkedIn algorithm. And what I found works for me is, firstly, consistency.
Yeah.
So I post probably 5 times a week without fail, usually between 8 and 9, although I sometimes mess around with I'll go wild on an afternoon post or like a 5 a.m-er. I try and mix it up between things that are personal to me, things that are relevant to my business and my ICP, and maybe things that are topical. Yeah. So I'll sort of rotate. Now, it's always the way that the personal or least thought out posts seem to do best. Yeah. So I think a couple of months ago, I posted me in a Claudia Winkleman wig at like 10 p.m. at night because it's getting ready for Halloween. And that was like, had 200,000 impressions. And you think, crikey, people say like LinkedIn isn't Facebook, but then everybody's responding to this like nonsense post. But what I've learned is that those posts bring people to you that then realise what you do. So a great example was a couple of months ago, I did a post about my love of M&S. Don't know about you, Laura. I think M&S is fab.
I love M&S.
M&S jumper right now.
Beautiful.
I have their blazer, this particular blazer, in 5 different colourways. So I did a little picture of me wearing the blazer in multiple colours, tagged M&S in case they wanted to like give me something for free, which they didn't respond. But I did this post, and the point is that a lady connected with me and she said, I don't know if you remember me, but you got me my first job 18 years ago.
Wow.
I love M&S too. And by the way, I'm hiring for salespeople. Now a client have spent money with us.
Yeah.
So what my point is that if you're consistent, people learn about you. Like Izzy and I, and the reason I'm here today is because we bonded over grief, sadly, but that was the thing that connected us. And people do buy into that. And then you can share more about your business. And I find that to be a great promotion. I also comment a lot on other people's posts and make sure I'm engaging, and especially within my own ICP. Like if I was trying to crack you, Laura, and let's pretend you didn't pick up the call and the team couldn't get you, I'd be making sure that I was adding credible comments and liking things you post just to sort of be front of mind, but also hopefully for you to think, oh, Sarah's a good person, she's liking my posts, all of that sort of behaviour.
In terms of other channels, what other acquisition channels have you?
So obviously we have a team of SDRs. So there's a lot of it that's just proactive and outbound. We built the website from scratch. And I would say only now, a year on, is that sort of generating through SEO, like inbound leads. That's quite hard to do quickly, much to my frustration.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, why are we getting no leads? It's like, well, you've just gone live. Like nobody knows about it. So
now I'm like, it's going to be 3 months before this even.
That's hard. I think we actually invested in PR at the start, which is not something I had necessarily done before. But it was the PR company that got me on like Wake Up to Money 2 or 3 times, which was quite daunting, talking about the economy at 5 a.m. on live radio when I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm talking about. And got me on some different podcasts. And that brought us business that closed. So it's all of these different mediums. We get a lot through referral. Yeah. I think in a savvy salesperson will always say, who else do you know?
Yeah.
And my team are well trained in that. And I am not scared to ask anybody, who else do you know? Or I see you're connected to X. Could you please facilitate an introduction? That one question brings us loads of business. So it's all of those different sort of outreach and different tools, I guess.
If we go back to the beginning of Flourish,
yeah,
what were kind of the early wins that made you think, I'm really onto something here?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, firstly, there was a nervousness of, will anyone in my network actually want to work with? Like, that sounds a bit like, oh, God, why would I not have that confidence? But when you've done the same thing at one business for so long, there was a bit of imposter syndrome, which I'm sure you've heard other people say as well. So the first thing was actually having people come to me that I hadn't gone to and saying, we'd love to support you, or we're hiring, you've always been great, please can you work with us? That was really nice. That was just that settling feeling of, this is good. And then it was probably a case of the new business stuff where we were up against like well-known businesses that have been around like a lot longer, and somebody didn't know me. So this wasn't based on me. This was now my new business up against another provider. And when I started talking about what made us different and what we were doing differently, it was when people then signed up, it was more that relief of, we've hit on something and actually other people agree too. I think the big one, though, was quite early on. We won a contract worth over £1 million for a really big project. And again, I just thought, gosh, this is not something so early I would have anticipated. And for somebody to, again, believe in everything we're doing made it feel very sort of validated and exciting.
And on the flip side, were there any kind of lows or things that made you doubt it?
I don't think there was anything that made me doubt it, but the first thing I would say is it was a huge shock to the system, going from having done this sort of coasting 3 days a week job to, because I actually remember when I joined Apprentify saying to the group CEO, I'll stick with 3 days a week if that's okay with you, because it's what I've been doing and I quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think I was like 4 weeks in and I was like, well, this isn't going to work. Like I barely can get everything done in 5 days. So I think there was a shock to the system of, crikey, there's a lot to do when you set up a business. I was probably a little naive. And then I think the second thing was when we lost a deal. And we lost a deal to somebody that actually said, you're just a bit too new. Like,
oh, wow, okay.
And I couldn't overcome it. And I felt that was like, I felt really frustrated because I knew we could do everything they wanted. But what I couldn't do was pretend that my business had existed longer than it actually had. That company has since come back to us and has said they want to work with us and they've seen what we've been doing. But that I took that quite personally because I hate losing. And so to lose over something that I felt I couldn't control, I couldn't overcome the objection, bothered me.
In terms of kind of how you work now, so you're doing 5 days a week. You've got a team of 25.
Yep.
What does your day-to-day look like?
So we have an office just by Victoria and also we're up in Cheshire as well. So I have a team of about 8 that are up in the north.
Yeah.
And everybody else is London-based. we are in the office almost 5 days a week. Sometimes people take a day where they work from home, which I'm cool with. But most of the time, I think we've all recognised it's important to be in. So I'm an early bird. I am up most days at 5, which is partly driven by a cat that's a bit needy and wakes me up. But I'm up always early. So it means I'm online early. I'm doing my LinkedIn posts. I'm responding to emails, probably doing a bit of like new business stuff, annoying the team by sending...
You reaching out to new clients at 5?
Do you know what? You'd be amazed if you go on LinkedIn and you, in your messaging and you look at those green dots, how many people like us are online at that time.
I was, to be fair, online at 5 this morning.
And that's when you get them, because they are doing what we're doing. They're at home and they're trying to get the admin out of the way. So definitely I make meetings, multiple meetings before 8 a.m.
So I should be telling my sales team to wake up a bit earlier. You talked earlier about how it's important that you hear each other's calls and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you create kind of a positive office culture, do you think?
So I actually think if you're going to be in an office, and I'm smiling because obviously this is the nature of what you do.
Yeah.
I think if you expect your team to be in, it needs to be a nice environment. It needs to be a place where they actually turn up and they like being there. And that isn't just about the team, that's about the physical workspace. So having the right tech, having, like, for us, we have a kitchen, we fill it with like fruit, and they get breakfast and they get daily snacks. We've got like a barista just a few floors down, which they can go to. It's a nice workspace. It's about hiring the right people, though, and hiring the people that I think want to be in an office. There's no point bringing somebody on board that really wants to work remote and trying to coerce them in. Like, again, I'm upfront about the fact that I don't want them to have a long commute because that's not good for them. We want to be in, like, what type of individual are you? We have people that really like sport. So the team have like a run club. We have people that want to go for a drink after work. We have a pub over the road, and most weeks, one day a week, the team will head there. And then we have like a buzzer. So if a deal comes in, we like buzz that.
Nice.
We have a screen, a TV screen, where there's a rolling commentary of wins. So you get to pick a song. So if, like, I brought a deal in, my face would flash up and it would play.
Your song?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that. What is my song? It is Sia and Unstoppable, which I felt like I wanted to do, but let's not do that now. That'd be embarrassing. But everybody picks a song and it'll blare out and their picture will come up. So we're all about encouraging success and cheering each other on, and just creating fun. Like, you know, we've got loads of Christmas initiatives. We're doing a big charity campaign at the moment, which the team all got involved in deciding what charity, and we're fundraising and we're dressing up with our Christmas jumpers on Friday. It's all about driving great behaviours, but through fun and championing other people.
And as a company founder, has that changed your view at all on how to build company culture? Or
I think so, because I think when I tailed off in my last business, I was an independent seller at the end. So I was maybe slightly selfish.
Yeah.
And I just worked from home because it suited me, and I was a mum and my daughter was younger. And I don't think I really respected the fact that junior people were then not learning from someone like me, which is a little bit selfish. Whereas now, as a founder, like, I want to lead by example. You know, I will be first in. I will be there coaching on the phones. I'm happy to stick on a headset and make calls. Like, I basically want to muck in with the team. And I think that's important, because I think if you want to inspire people, they need to know that you've got their backs and that also you're willing to do it. And I think the other thing I'm quite proud of, there's a few things, but like when we got the office, like, I got a bookcase. I know it sounds silly, but I was like, I want people to like learn. But sometimes people don't know what to read, or maybe they don't have the funds to go out, or they don't want to choose to spend it on books. So like, I packed the books with like business books, sales books, also a whole shelf of my holiday reads, which are a bit trashy. But I'm like, guys, like, take the time to read. 75% of our leadership team are female. Oh, wow. And 66% of the sales team are female, which are stats that totally buck the trend. So again, as a female founder, I know that often women won't put themselves forward for jobs or promotion if they can't see people like them. So that was a big driver, is like, let's bring in women, not exclusively, of course, because that wouldn't make for a good dynamic, but let's bring in females so other females can see that they can go on and achieve. And that was an important part of the culture as well.
If you had to describe Flourish's culture in 3 words, what would they be?
Oh, crikey. 3 words. Fun.
Yeah.
Empowering. inspiring.
Nice. And do you have, if you could recommend a book, a tool, a resource that has helped you in your career, what would you recommend?
I don't know if there's just one. There's been lots of things. I really enjoy listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few good ones out there. I do cherry pick some of the Diary of the CEO ones because depending on the individual he's interviewing,
it's quite mixed bag.
Yeah, there's a mixed bag for sure. But there's been some really good ones in there. And actually one of my favourites was Davina McCall. I just think she's brilliant. She comes out with some really good stuff. Firstly, around like positivity. Like she has a thing where she says, let me get this right now. So let's say I teach my daughter, let's say she's moaning, oh, it's raining. But you have to finish the sentence, but luckily. And think of something. So, oh, it's raining today, mummy. But luckily, whatever it might be. And I think like having that positive spin on something that makes you know, mindset is really important.
Yeah.
She also did a really good speech recently about put yourself forward, like sit on the front row.
Yeah.
And so I say this to candidates. I see them walking into the Discovery Day room that we have, 4 rows. And people start filtering to the back. I'm like, guys, you're here to get a job. Like, take the front row, get yourself noticed. So I cherry pick podcasts like that. I read on holiday Atomic Habits.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And that's a good one because it really makes you think about everybody's got the same amount of time. What do you do with it? And making those small changes that become a habit. So like my 5 a.m. wake up often could be spent doom scrolling.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, I'm up at 5. I'm going to do a few good things.
Yeah.
And
then the whole day is on a different trajectory.
Yeah,
as
absolutely. So I think they'd be a couple of recommendations.
One thing you think companies should stop doing when it comes to company culture?
I mean, I know what I wouldn't like. I think people need to feel empowered and also trusted.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't have people in an office just because you don't trust them to work from home.
Yeah.
I think, you know, all businesses, doesn't matter what stage you are on your journey, everybody's an adult. If you are employing them to work at your company, you should have a trust in them. Otherwise, don't employ them.
Yeah.
So I think feeling empowered, feeling trusted, but also, not overly micromanaging them. Let people flourish and be themselves because you don't want carbon cutouts of lots of people just being identical. I think I've really tried to bring in different people with different backgrounds, ideas, whether that's academic, whether that's culture, nationality, and it all makes for a really healthy workplace.
If Flourish had a motto for workplace culture, what would it be?
Well, we have a motto. I don't know if it's for workplace culture, but we say flourish in sales, in life.
Yeah.
And that sort of is our motto because if you're happy out of work and you feel like you've got that support and you've got that education and you're going to apply yourself better in work, and that is a win-win. So everything we do with our own staff and with the candidates we place is genuinely to help them flourish in sales and in life.
So what's next for Flourish?
World domination, obviously. No, I think what's next is proving that now we've grown to 24 people, that we can hit new milestones this year. So I pretty much want to try and triple what we did in our first year. That's the goal. And get the team. It's all about getting the team to be performing because if they're happy, then they're earning and then everybody's motivated. I would eventually want us to be market leader. Like, of course, as a competitive individual, I've got my sights set on that. But what I really care about is the continuation of great reviews that we've been getting, doing right by our candidates. I think we put our candidates and our clients first. Like, service levels for me are really important. In recruitment particularly, recruitment can have not a great reputation always. So this is about doing things right, making sure people walk away saying, God, my experience at Flourish was great, getting those referrals and hopefully continuing to grow the business. So maybe, I don't know, if I see you in another year, I might be at 40 people, who knows?
Yeah,
and you might have found me a new office.
Yeah, would love to.
But no, I'd like us to just make sure the team are doing well, grow and keep those service levels and keep getting the good reviews, which is important.
And one piece of advice for founders who are trying to build a better workplace.
Don't try and do it all on your own. Like, lean on people that have areas of expertise or specialisms that you don't. So you might have this vision, and that's great. But you're not going to be able to do everything yourself. And I think sometimes, particularly as women, we just try and do it all. And my advice is to lean on others, ask advice. Don't be scared to reach out even to people that you don't know and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What advice would you give me? I think that's the most important thing, because sometimes you can get quite insular, and having somebody else look in and say, hey, have you thought about this? Or what about this? That can make a big difference.
And where can people connect with Flourish and with you?
So definitely on LinkedIn, obviously, Sarah Skelton. HelloFlourish.com is the website, but we're all on socials. So I would say LinkedIn is the best point. And on my profile, I have my email and I have my mobile, because I've got no issue with people reaching out on either of those channels. So yeah, I love it if people get in touch.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Laura. Really enjoyed it.